Hi, howdy, hey, welcome back to Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. We are on chapter 14, page 100. My parents weren't in the apartment when Connor and I got here. You want a snack? I asked him as we entered the tiny kitchen. No thanks, he said. I'm not really hungry. How can you not be hungry when you didn't even eat lunch? I'm just not. Fine. I opened a lower cabinet with my foot and took out a bag of pretzels. You want a soda? I asked. No. I sighed and hoped he didn't die of dehydration. It was still in the 90s outside. We made our way back to the small living room, where Connor spotted my guitar in the corner. Is that your guitar? Yep, I said, opening the TV cabinet with my foot. Will you play for me? I can't wait to see you play it with your feet. Maybe another day. I'm kind of out of practice right now. That wasn't exactly true. I felt shy about it, like I needed to prepare before I performed for him. If I ever would perform for him. I still hadn't made up my mind. Promise? Connor said. I'll play for you sometime, just not right now. Connor turned his attention to the row of video games in the cabinet. You have some good ones in here, he said, thumbing through them. My dad likes to play. They're mostly his games. Your dad's cool, Connor said, clearly impressed by my dad's immaturity. He pulled out an ultra-violent war game. Let's play this. I shook my head. Not allowed. For dad only. Connor frowned, put the game back in the cabinet, and pulled out another game I wasn't allowed to play. I'm not allowed to play any games with a disclaimer on the cover, I said, walking to the cabinet and pulling out a racing game. Let's play this one. I guess. Connor let out a dramatic sigh, clearly disappointed we wouldn't get to battle each other to our bloody virtual deaths. I'm better at games when I can mostly use the joystick, I said as Connor slipped the disc into the console. That's good, because you'll need every advantage to beat me. We played for a couple of hours. I didn't think Connor expected me to be such a good player. Yeah, he did beat me a lot, but I gave him a good fight and even won a couple of races myself. I think I played worse than normal because Connor ticked a lot while we played, and it distracted me. I guess the ticks probably made it harder for him to play as well. I thought about him at home, playing video games all night by himself, ticking badly. Maybe it wasn't good for him to spend all his free time doing that. I felt like I was starting to understand Connor's ticks, what made them worse and what made them better. Definitely when Connor was stressed or excited about anything, his ticks got worse. When he felt calm and comfortable, they weren't so bad. I guess video games got him worked up. Mom walked in the door just as we were putting the game away. You absolutely would not believe what Bob did now, she said as she threw her hat down on the kitchen table. I looked at Connor and whispered in a Dracula accent for some reason. Murdered someone. He giggled. She walked into the living room and saw Connor. This must be Connor. She reached out her hand to shake with his. Nice to meet you, Miss Green, Connor said softly. I could tell he was trying to hold his ticks in. Nice to meet you too, Mom said. Connor let out a loud bark and Mom jumped back. Oh my, she giggled. That was interesting. Connor has Tourette's syndrome, I reminded her. Oh, she said. That's right. Don't look so nervous, honey. Mom touched Connor's arm to put him at ease. It will only make your ticks worse. I looked at her in surprise. Mom, you know about Tourette's? She gave me an annoyed look. Evan, I was a psych major in college. Of course I know about Tourette's. You were a psych major in college? I asked. What's that? She sighed and rolled her eyes. Psychology. Don't you ever listen to me when I talk? No, I joked. 'Cause you usually just talk about boring old people stuff. Mom grabbed me and ran her knuckles over my head, messing up my hair. Ouch, I cried, wriggling away from her. All right, I'm going to get dinner started. Will you two do me a favor and run over to the gold mine and fire Bob? I smiled, but Connor looked grave. Thank you, Mrs. Green, but I'm not staying for dinner. Yes, you are, I said. Your mom's working. What are you going to eat for dinner if you don't eat with us? Connor froze up, like he had no idea what to say to that. I'll eat cereal? That's unacceptable, Mom said. You're eating with us. Then I'll take you home after dinner, since your mom's working. Connor appeared absolutely terrified at the thought. No, really, I like cereal. He could barely get the words out from his tics. Why won't you eat, Connor? I asked. Are you anorexic? He seemed to relax a little at that, and laughed. No, I'm not anorexic, I just... What? I nearly shouted. I'm your friend, Connor, tell me. Sometimes I spit when I eat. Connor's cheeks were bright red as he shrugged and blinked his eyes rapidly. I spit food at people. Mom gave Connor an understanding smile. That's not uncommon, she said. We'll all wear rain gear at dinner tonight. And with that, she opened a cabinet and started pulling out potatoes. Connor looked at me. I hope you have face masks, too. I kicked at his shoe. See? It's no big deal. We know you can't help it. Connor's expression changed. I wish my parents were as understanding as yours. It got to the point at home that neither one of them wanted to eat with me anymore. My dad would yell at me for spitting, and that would make it worse. He tugged at his hair. Now I just eat in my room by myself. My mom's hardly ever around, so it doesn't matter anyway. It matters, I said empathetically. It matters a lot. As we were setting the table for dinner, Dad walked in. I think that old llama might have to be put down, he said sadly, shoulders slumped. My head shot up. What? No, not spaghetti, I cried. Mom and Dad both gave me a funny look. I shrugged. We have a special connection. I looked at Connor. We're X-Men, I added softly. I'm sorry, honey, Dad said. He's so old. He's like 22 years old. Dennis said he's hardly eaten in 2 days, and that thing growing out of his head, well, it can't be comfortable. I'll nurse him back to health, I insisted. I'm not sure that's possible in his age, Dad said. Anyways, we can talk about it later. The vet's coming tomorrow, and we'll see how he does over the next few days. By the time we all sat down at the table together, I didn't have much appetite. I kept thinking about poor spaghetti, not being able to eat. I looked at Connor. I could tell he was hesitant to take a bite of his pork chop. It's okay, Connor, Dad said. We're all prepared. Dad lifted something off of his lap. Ski goggles. He slipped them over his eyes. No worries. David, Mom cried, punching Dad in the shoulder. That's terrible. Connor laughed, though. It seemed to put him at ease, and he finally took a bite of his mashed potatoes. Don't worry, Mom said. Everything is non-staining. I glared at Dad. All the things we had to get rid of, and you brought ski goggles with us to Arizona? These were like $80, he defended himself. So Connor, Dad said, removing his ridiculous goggles, what are you interested in? I mean, besides pulling morbid pranks with my daughter and scaring our visitors away, Dad narrowed his eyes at me. You might want to rethink hanging out with her. She's a bad influence. And you have terrible sideburns, I said, unable to come up with anything better. He really did have bad sideburns. They were horribly uneven. Dad ignored me. So, he said, returning his attention to Connor. I like movies, Connor said. I have a huge movie collection at home. Oh, why don't I take you guys to a movie? This weekend, Mama said, clearly thrilled. I had made a friend. Connor looked appalled and shrunk down in his seat. He shook his head rapidly. No movie theaters. You don't go to movies? I said. No way. I went only once since my tics started a few years ago, and it was not a fun experience. What happened? I asked. People complained, of course. No one wants to listen to a dog barking while they try to watch a movie. That's messed up, I said. People are so rude. They're not rude, Connor said. They don't know I have Tourette's. That's what makes it embarrassing. I scrunched up my nose. You should wear a t-shirt that says, I have Tourette's, on it, everywhere you go. Then people will leave you alone. Connor snorted. Yeah, maybe you could make me one, Evan. Then he kicked my foot under the table, gently. Should we tell them? He whispered. Tell us what? Mom said. I gave my parents a highly serious look. We think there may be a murderer at Stagecoach Pass. Dad coughed and choked on his mouthful of pork chop. Mom slapped him on the back while he hacked up his food into a napkin. When he could finally breathe, he gasped. What? Why would you think something like that? We updated Mom and Dad on our theories about the Kavanaughs. Evan, Mom said, just because people are secretive doesn't mean they've been murdered. I have to admit, Sheebs, Dad said, you haven't exactly presented us with the most convincing evidence. Some people just really value their privacy, Mom added. I nodded at them like I agreed, but Connor and I gave each other knowing looks. Yeah, right, like we were going to let it go that easily. Then Connor looked from me to my parents and then back again. So, where does Evan get her red hair from? He asked. I'm adopted, Connor, I said. Oh, that's cool, said Connor. It's so cool, said Mom. I rolled my eyes. Here she goes. She loves telling people about my adoption. Connor looked at my mom with interest, so she took that as her cue to tell the story for the millionth time. Well, she began. Evan's dad and I couldn't have a baby, so we figured we'd end up adopting one. I started reading a lot about adoption online. Then one day, I was on this website and there was a tab that said, Kids in Need of a Forever Family. So I clicked on it. I scrolled down until I saw it, the most precious little angel baby face I'd ever seen in my entire life. It was mine, in case you were wondering, I said. I knew the moment I saw her. She was my daughter, Mom went on. With those chubby pink cheeks and bright red mop of hair. She'd never seen such a precious, beautiful, amazing, brilliant, intelligent child. I said. Connor raised an eyebrow at me. I may be embellishing a little. No, she's not at all, Mom said. I knew right the moment I saw her that I was looking into the face of my daughter. It was like she was born for me, right in that moment. Some women birth babies through their you-know-what, but I birthed Evan through the computer that day. I groaned. Mom, that is the worst part of your story. Connor rolled. Connor totally didn't need to hear that. Really, Laura? Dad said. It's the worst. It's just awful. She glared at Dad before returning to her story, and anyway, right below her picture it said, Evan, 2 years old. I couldn't believe she was 2 years old and hadn't been adopted yet. Yeah, she didn't realize she was on an adoption website for children with special needs, I said. So I clicked on her picture, and that's when I saw she didn't have arms. And it didn't even matter, I said. She wanted me anyways. Mom gave me her gushy love face. So I broke the news to her dad that night at dinner. Yeah, Dad said. She told me my future daughter was a beautiful redhead. Oh, and also that she didn't have arms. How did you feel about it? Connor asked. Well, you know, I was surprised, of course. But once I saw her, I agreed wholeheartedly. She was our daughter. Dad gave me his own version of the gushy love face. We did a lot of research before we got Evan, so we could give her the best care, Mom said. You know, Connor, there are a lot of amazing people in the world who don't have arms. Really? said Connor. Yes, Mom said. There's a successful architect who designed skyscrapers by using his feet to type, just like Evan does on her computer, and a woman who paints beautiful artworks that sell for quite a bit of money. There's that guy who's the motivational speaker, Dad added. Oh yeah, Mom said. And then there's people just living totally regular lives, raising babies and driving cars and doing everything people with arms do. That's so cool, Dad said Connor. Remember when we visited that teacher? What was his name, Carl? Dad said to Mom. We found him through his website, Mom told Connor. It was called Unarmed Education. We had to drive all the way to Colorado to meet him, but it was so worth it. He showed us how he did all kinds of things, Dad said. He even drove us to the grocery store. Yeah, Mom laughed. David chewed his fingernails the whole way there. Can you blame me? Dad asked Connor. Anyway, Mom said. He shopped for food all on his own and made us a lovely dinner with his feet. We knew Evan would be able to do all these things and more. When we finally got her, though, she couldn't do anything. Mom threw her arms up in exasperation. Her foster family had done everything for her. Bathed her, fed her, brushed her teeth. She just sat around like a slug, waiting to be cared for like the Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba, Dad reiterated. Or Shebes, for short. I rolled my eyes, and this was when Mom's full-time job became teaching Evan how to do stuff. Right away, Mom said, I was dumping out jars of marbles and telling her to put them all back in the jar, giving her a bowl of fish crackers and telling her to feed them to herself one at a time, giving her a sheet of stickers and blank piece of paper and telling her to decorate it, telling her to brush her own teeth and wash her own feet and scratch her own itches. Come to think of it, I said, it wasn't so much teaching me how to do stuff as it was telling me to do stuff. That may be, Mom said, but mostly it was telling her she could do just about anything if she tried hard enough. Yeah, I got over being the Queen of Sheba pretty quickly, I said. I can see that, said Connor, and with that, he spit his mouthful of mashed potatoes right in my face.